I tell you, as founder of the Global Association of Women in Payments, I'm really excited to be here today. Time flies, right? And much time has flown by in the 10 years since I started Women in Payments. The payments market has absolutely transformed. I don't need to tell you that. The talent market is much, much more dynamic than it was 10 years ago. The opportunities for women in this industry are definitely evolving. And customer and employee preferences have really become much stronger drivers of our business. They inform how we engage with all stakeholders, customers, investors, as well as employees. Even the MoneyLIVE Summit didn't exist 10 years ago. In the talent market 10 years ago, there was no such thing as a Chief Diversity Officer. Acronyms like DEI and ESG didn't even exist. But today we know what they are, just like we know the meaning of ROI. We know because of people like you who are making your voices heard. You are helping organizations realize the ROI of being more inclusive, more diverse, more environmentally and socially responsible. You are helping us move in the right direction, and we can all feel the momentum. The payments market has also changed in 10 years, and I know I'm a payments geek, so I really watch this really closely. What used to be a chief technology officer might today be called a chief innovation officer or a chief disruption officer. I love that title. Or possibly a chief fintech officers. And yes, you can all find all of these titles on LinkedIn profiles. Regulation has driven innovation in many markets, encouraging sharing of data across platforms and across players. This builds competition and benefits customers. While technology and changing regulations, and in some cases even a pandemic, underpin much of this innovation, customer preferences are the ultimate driver. Mass customization was once a pipe dream, but has now become reality with artificial intelligence, big data, and machine learning. And to remain competitive, we need an in-depth understanding of both our customers and the technology. And women can excel at both, with an instinctive skill at navigating preferences, empathy for the customer, and the discipline of detail that technology solutions demand. We must innovate through partnerships and collaboration, and women excel at both. We need an understanding of risk and how to manage it, and women excel at both. The payments market is really dynamic at this point, and we have a global shortage of talent. We as women are well placed to take on these exciting challenges, and now is a time for us to make a difference. But as they say in Paris, plus ça change, plus c'est la même chose. In some ways, women have made little progress in the last 10 years. According to a 2019 report by Oliver Wyman, women on executive committees in major financial firms stands at 20%. That's the global average. The better news is that in payments companies such as Amex, MasterCard, et cetera, they're doing better than the global average with 34% women on executive committees. Hopefully we'll continue to go in that positive direction. But I'd like to also point out that the pandemic has had a negative impact on our pipeline as women have lost jobs or left the marketplace to manage family responsibilities, leaving a smaller pool of women from which to develop and promote. And we also want to be careful to ensure that upon returning back to the office, that women aren't the ones who are opting for the 100% work from home option, because they'll lose visibility completely. So how do we get to where we want to be? Gonzalo Gortazar, the CEO of one of the best banks in Western Europe, the Caja Bank in Spain, says that gender equality leads to better dynamics, better teams, better decisions, and better results. And here are some results on the ROI of investing in organizations with more women at the top. Increased profitability. One study found that IRR for women-founded fintechs was more than double that for fintechs of a similar age that were led by men. Increased innovation. A different study found that companies with more women in executive ranks produced 20% more patents than teams with all male leaders. And on the respect side, there was a study by Fortune that found that in their most admired companies category, there were companies with twice as many women at senior management level than the firms with less reputable rankings, 17% versus 8%. So we know where we want to go. Now, how do we get there? This is what I love, that we have a multi-pronged approach. And I've seen this, there are many, many layers to this, but there was a report put out in 2016 in the UK, sponsored by Virgin Money, and they recommended 4 main things. The report was called Empowering Productivity, Harnessing the Talents of Women in Financial Services. And they recommended a 4-prong approach. First is to appoint a senior executive to be responsible for diversity, equity, and inclusion. Second is to set internal targets and measure your progress against those on an annual basis. Third is to ensure the pay of your senior executives is in some way linked to the delivery against these targets. So many different layers to this on how we actually get there. But what does it look like when we get there? That's the exciting part. We'll have many things in place. We'll have champions, senior leaders who are committed to these corporate policies, who set the example for the organization. We'll have mentorship at all levels, with mentors and mentees participating, and the mentors benefit from what I call reverse mentorship, where they learn from their mentees. They learn about their corporate culture, they learn about their employee experience, and they learn about their own leadership styles. And they can take these learnings to help them adjust the corporate culture, to adjust their employee experience, and perhaps even adjust their leadership style to be more welcoming to the rising stars, to the younger generation coming up the ranks. We'll have leadership training and development that is tailored to the needs of women in particular, because women's needs and men's needs aren't always the same. We'll have opportunities to build networks, both internally within the organization and externally outside the organizations. We'll have policies around flexible work, around fair and transparent and equitable compensation, around gender and diversity equity, as well as hiring and internal promotions. We'll be looking at the pipeline to encourage young women to enter the field and stay there as they progress through their careers, to build that strong talent pipeline. And last but not least is the concept of allyship. We'll be looking to develop our male allies, to develop our allies across the organizations and across the industry. And I'd like to leave you with a request on this, to build strong alliances. Think now about your allies, how you can make them and build them to be stronger, wider, and deeper. Leaders are team builders, and great leaders are those who create strategic alliances across organizations, across the industry, and beyond. In closing, I'd like to share some pieces of career advice that my mentors have shared with me. Number 1, I love this one. Be the CEO of your own career and appoint a personal board of directors that you can call on to provide career guidance and advice. And these people should be people you respect, but with whom you don't always agree, because you're looking for a diversity of perspective and input. Number 2, be inquisitive. Find that playground for learning that you really love. And once you've learned, go and find another one. Be curious, ask questions. Expand your reach. Number 3, as I've said many times, your network is your single biggest career asset. Develop it, use it, and help others to build theirs. Last but not least, manage your reputation. Your reputation can be described as what people might say about you in your absence. It can take years to build and be lost in minutes or even seconds. And if you look at Will Smith this morning, his reputation today is quite different from what it was yesterday. I began by saying that time flies. I also noted that things are not moving quite quickly enough for women in our industry. So time flies, but you be the pilot. Chart a course for change, for yourself, for your organization, for your sisters, your daughters, and your sons and your brothers. Because as the data shows, we all do better when diversity is a key driver for positive change. Thank you.
Thank you.